Howdy everyone, it's Sam. Welcome to the Wobble Enjoy Sports channel. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Without a doubt, it is the biggest week of NFL coming up in the next couple of days. And to help me preview the round is, of course, Mr. Entertain House. He's just as passionate, if not even more passionate about the NFL than I am, mate. And it's a little bit spicy for him as well, coming up on Tuesday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time. House, it's good to have you back on again, brother. How have you been?
I've been good, mate. I've been having I'll obviously get into it later, but I've been having an exceptional season so far. I don't have an exact percentage for you, but look, I can tell you that throughout a lot of this season, I've been ranked in about the top 100 in the globe through the Superbrew app of 7,000 people. I've had certain weeks where I've gone 12 from 14 games. I had a pretty bad week going off last week, so let's hope we can right our wrongs and get some better game this week. But yeah, loving the season, and very hard to predict who's going to win it. And it was great to see the Chiefs have a bye before this massive Super Bowl rematch.
In watching your tips every single week, and please everybody go and check out Entertain House's channel if you have not already. It just seems like this season is getting harder and harder to try and tip correctly. And also in watching and listening to you as well, I feel like I'm maybe just two, but I'm 2 steps behind you as far as accuracy goes. So you're doing better than me so far in 2023. But without further ado, we've got at least 4 blockbuster matches this weekend, all with massive playoff implications. And the very first game of week 11 starts here at M&T Bank Stadium. This is massive. AFC North, and it's not the first time the AFC North are going to be highlighted. It is the Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals from M&T Bank Stadium. House, what are the odds for this one?
I'll just get the odds up now for you. I do know that the Ravens go into this one as favourites. Obviously, the Bengals are coming off that loss against the Texans last week. The odds actually aren't available. It looks like it's suspended by a sports bet for the game.
No, you're right.
I've got you here.
I've got you here, House, I've got you here. So the Ravens are $1.50 and the Cincinnati Bengals are $2.61. And the line is at 3.5. This will be the 57th meeting between the two franchises. And the Ravens have the overall head-to-head record, 29-27. And it was only earlier this season that these two sides met. And it was the Ravens who won by a field goal in Cincinnati. House, what do you make of this game?
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. The Bengals coming into, I guess, that game against the Texans, they've been in red-hot form, and I guess you can say they were kind of due a loss as well. Their offenses looked a lot better than what we saw at the start of the season, and they're going to be tough to contain. But as for the Ravens, I think the running game has been great this year. Even from quarterback Lamar Jackson's passing game, they're becoming a more complete team than what we've seen in previous years and truly becoming a Super Bowl contender. So, look, I actually think the Baltimore Ravens will win this one, but, I wouldn't touch that 3.5 line. I think it's a tough line to pick. This could be one of those, field goal matches, but I'll go the Baltimore Ravens by 4, probably about a scoreline of maybe 24-20.
I think about who the Cincinnati Bengals have beaten, and while coming into the year, Buffalo were definitely contenders. They did defeat Buffalo. They defeat the Seahawks, who admittedly have been up and down like a roller coaster. And I'm pretty sure the Bengals took care of the Commanders as well off the top of the dome. So they have beaten mid-range teams over the past month, the Bengals. Whereas the Ravens, you could say maybe the same thing about them as well, but they've been doing it rather convincingly with massive score lines to their name. I'm with you here, man. I think the Ravens, I think they're just playing way too good. They're playing a better class of footy. But again, this is an AFC North rivalry game, man. So anything could happen. Form does go out the window in these contests. So we're both going to go for the Baltimore Ravens in this huge game. Huge game. And speaking of the AFC North, and I'll get your thoughts on this in just a moment, but it is the best division in the NFL right now, for sure. So we'll go into the next game here. It is no love loss here. Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers from Cleveland Browns Stadium. This will be the 145th match between the two franchises, and the Steelers are at least 19 wins better over the Browns. They did meet earlier this season, and it was Pittsburgh that won 26-22. And the last time that Pittsburgh won in Cleveland was in 2021. What are the odds for this one, House?
Yeah, for this one, the Browns go in as favourites after their win against the Ravens last week at $1.50. And the Steelers go as outsiders in this one, $2.62, with a line of plus 4.5. For the money at the moment, everyone is backing the Pittsburgh Steelers to cover that 4.5. It's more favoured than the Browns, but the Browns obviously head-to-head seem to be a lot of people's pick for this one.
What an unbelievable victory the Browns got themselves last week, House.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty, like, you wouldn't have picked it. Absolutely wouldn't have picked that one. Really good comeback by the Browns. And, they've been replicating some pretty good performances all year, whether it be comebacks or just really nice defense. They've probably got one of the best defenses in the league. And, they leaked 30 last week, but still against the Baltimore Ravens, who have put up some bigger scorelines than that this year, I think the Browns should get this done. I'll go the Cleveland Browns by 3 in this one.
Yeah, they should. I know the Steelers won that game earlier this season, but it was just such a weird off night for the Cleveland Browns. That was a really weird game earlier this season. Yeah, I'm with you, man. This Cleveland Browns defense is the best at the moment, even though they leaked 30. Just the way they were able to fight their way back into the contest was made of some really stern stuff. And I would say that if Chubb hadn't suffered his season-ending injury, I'd say we'd be looking at an AFC championship contender, but without Chubb, it just gives me pause for concern. Whereas the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't know how they've got to 6-3, House.
They always seem to have a winning record. It's crazy. Every season they have a winning record, and you think, how are they doing it?
Yeah, every time. So it's more credit to the coach, Mike Tomlin, than anything. But I'm with you. I'm going to go the Cleveland Browns to win this game at home. And once again, House, we're agreeing. It's the Cleveland Browns for us versus the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend. Let's move into the next contest now. We've got the Miami Dolphins hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. This is the 42nd meeting between the two franchises. And Las Vegas have the better head-to-head record at 21-19 and one draw thrown in there as well. These two franchises last met in Las Vegas in 2021, and the Raiders won on that occasion. The Raiders last played in Miami in 2018, but they haven't won at the venue since 2017. And just for a little bit more spice and thought into how this game could go, the past 4 meetings between these two have been decided by 8 points or less. So potentially we could be in for a close one, but I think the margin is going to be a little bit bigger in this game. House, what are the odds for this game?
So the Dolphins go in at $1.14 favourites, short price favourites. They've been great at home. And then the Vegas Raiders are $5.75 for this one. So, look, they're a massive price, especially with, the record they've had against them. But Tua, for me, he's playing like an MVP candidate. He's up there potentially for the MVP pick. So I think the Dolphins should be way too good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Dolphins are coming off the bye as well. They didn't play last week, did they?
They did. No, they came back from Germany after going down to your boys, mate. So yes, they did.
That's right.
They're coming off the
bye. So look, I think they'll win, and I think I'm going to go the Miami Dolphins to win this one by 13. I don't reckon they'll win 14 plus, because I do think the Raiders can keep, within that. But I do think that they should win by a considerable margin.
The shackles are definitely off the Las Vegas Raiders after Josh McDaniels got the rightful punt. But yeah, the past 4 meetings between these two indicate that this should be close. I don't think it will be. I think the Dolphins will be supercharged after their loss against the Chiefs. And they started really poorly. They were able to make it a close-ish game or a close game in the end. So I think they'll be better for it. They would have learnt a lot. I'm going to go the Miami Dolphins. So again, we're in agreement here, but it's the NFL. Absolutely anything could happen. So we might be 0-3, 0-4. Let's move on to the next game. We won't be, though. We're going to be perfect. Let's go into the next game now. It is the Detroit Lions versus the Chicago Bears. This is an NFC North rivalry game. And this will be the 187th match between the two franchises. And the Bears have the head-to-head record at 104 to 77. And last year, the Lions defeated the Chicago Bears. And it was their first win against the Bears since the year 2017. So it has definitely been the Bears for the past 6 or so years when these two sides have met. House, what are the odds for this game?
So the Bears go into this one as underdogs at Detroit, paying $4.45, and the Lions are paying $1.21 for this one. Just checking the line now. The line is 9.5, so it's a very tough line to read because, even though Detroit are winning games, they're by kind of close margins, and the Bears have been improving in recent weeks without Justin Fields, especially. But as for my tip, I think Detroit at home, I think they've been really, really good. I thought they were lucky to get out of that game against the Chargers the other day, but I really do think they'll bounce back. I remember they bounced back about 3 weeks ago after the loss to the Ravens. So I'm actually going to go the Detroit Lions by 21 here. I'm going to go the big margin. I reckon the Lions offense is going to be way too good at home.
What do you think about the Detroit Lions, man? I feel like that maybe their ultra fast start to the season. I think they're just starting to wish that their second win comes about. They got flogged by the Ravens. They leaked 38 against the Chargers. Chargers are a good offense, but I do feel like that maybe the Lions are just starting to slow down a bit, and they're just looking forward to that second wind that will eventually pick up. Is that the same feeling about the Lions, or do you think they're just coasting along very nicely?
No, I would agree with you. I think they've kind of taken the foot off the pedal in regards to what they can do. I still think they know that they can, rip through teams, and they've got a really solid team, some good depth as well. But I think we'll see a much better team, coming into – I think they'll be in the playoffs, I'll just say it. And I think coming into the playoffs is when we'll see just how serious they are. Obviously, the experience is going to be one thing, but I think they're a really tough team to beat this year.
Yep, and I'm going with the Detroit Lions as well, for sure. So again, we agreed, Detroit Lions for both of us. Going into the next contest now, and we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Tennessee Titans. This will be the 58th meeting between the two franchises, and the Titans have the head-to-head record at 34-23. The Jaguars, they swept the Titans last season, but before that, Jacksonville had only won once in 10 meetings since 2017. So while they swept them last year, the Jaguars over the Titans, it still has been the Titans overall for the past 6 or 7 years. House, what are the odds for this one?
So the Tennessee Titans are a really nice price for this one at $3.30. The Jacksonville Jaguars are favourites at $1.34. The line's pretty good as well. The line is 6.5. So if you think there's a touchdown between these teams, then that's definitely a good one to take. As for this game, from my perspective, I think Trevor Lawrence has been really, really good this year. However, I thought last week he was really, really poor. One of his worst games of his career. Against the 49ers, they couldn't really do much. The 49ers had the injury-riddled players back, so they were in for that big performance. But, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars win this one. I got them winning by 9 points, so they're actually a team that I would take at the -6.5, but I don't think it'll be 14+.
The Titans, you and I have spoken privately, and the Titans, to me, I'm off them for the rest of the season, man. I wasn't able to get a grasp of them early on, but after last weekend against Tampa Bay, who I really gave them a shot against, I'm off the Titans for the rest of the year, just about, mate. But the Jaguars, man, we were speaking about teams losing Puff. Jaguars have lost Puff over the past fortnight themselves. And that was, it was supremely disappointing, but they're back at home. Or they were at home last week, but they're back at home. They get a sort of second shot, and I think they'll make the most of it. But I'm with you. I won't say 14+. I'll go keeping that 1 to 13 range. Let's move on to the next game, and we've got the Green Bay Packers hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, and this will be the 13th match between the two clubs, and it is Green Bay who are 10-2. They last met in 2019. The Chargers won on that occasion. This is the first trip to Green Bay for the Chargers since 2015. It is only the 6th visit in history for the Chargers. And get this, the Los Angeles Chargers, they have only ever won once in Green Bay in their entire history, and that was back in 1984. History is against the Chargers big time, but the form would indicate otherwise. House, what are the odds, mate?
So for this game, the Chargers do go in as slight favourites. They're $1.60, so a much higher price and scale there. And then the Packers are $2.35, and the line is 3.5. So if you think there'll be more than a field goal by the Chargers there. The Green Bay Packers, I thought they had a good performance a few weeks ago against the Rams, and then a close one against the Steelers, but they weren't able to get the job done. And you mentioned the Chargers. They've been in fantastic form. It's interesting you read that they've only won one of their last 6, which makes it really tough for them. It was a tough loss against the Detroit Lions. Look, I haven't liked the Packers' start to the year, but I've liked their defense better in recent weeks. So I'm actually going to go the Green Bay Packers to win this game. I'm going to go, I think I'm going the different way to you here. I think it will be close, but I think the Packers at home are going to snatch this one, maybe a 17-20 scoreline, and I'm going to go the Packers to win by 3.
Wow. There you go, mate. Because yes, I am going differently. I look at the two teams that they have faced over the past fortnight, as you just put it. They've taken on the Rams and the Steelers. Not the worst, but they sure as hell are not the best teams. And they've gone 1-1 against those sides. And they're coming up against the Chargers outfit that, yeah, they are improving. They got flogged by your boys again. It seems like that's the theme of the stream so far, that teams are getting flogged by your boys. But the Chargers, they got flogged by Chiefs, and then they came out and they're getting a little bit better. So they'll take a lot of confidence out of the Detroit Lions game. I agree that Green Bay's defense should not be sneezed at, but I think the Chargers will have too many points for them over this stuttering Green Bay Packers outfit. So there's our first crisscross for the evening. It is the Packers for House. It is the Chargers for myself, and that means Chargers will get just their second ever victory in Green Bay. Let's go on to the.
I haven't tipped the Packers for about 6 weeks.
Oh, true, dude.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
True. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go into the next game. And this is going to be a little bit closer than what it might seem. It is the Houston Texans. They are the talk of the town at the moment versus the Arizona Cardinals from NRG Stadium. This will be just the 6th ever battle between the two franchises, and Arizona have a 3-2 lead. This is the first trip to Houston for Arizona since 2017. And on that occasion, Houston won every game in the series between these two franchises. The home side have won. So what are the odds for this one, House?
Yeah, so sticking with the home side of one, the Texans go in as favourites at $1.48. They beat a great opponent in the Bengals last week as well. And then the Arizona Cardinals, who were really poor before last week, getting Kyler Murray back, $2.66. And the Arizona Cardinals, they definitely look like a much better team with the roster that they've got there. They were able to beat the Falcons, who we thought at the start of the year maybe they're going to do something, but in typical Falcons fashion, they have dropped off. Look, I'm going to go the Houston Texans here at home. I think they've been really, really good this season. I'm absolutely loving what CJ Stroud has produced for them. And I'm going to tip them by 12 points. I think it will be a decent win. I don't think it'll be as close as the odds suggest.
I tipped the Atlanta Falcons to beat Arizona in Arizona, knowing that Kyler Murray was going to partake in that contest. I just thought that the Falcons had just been a little bit more solid, a little bit more consistent, and that Murray would be super rusty. And he was rusty, but not as what I was anticipating. So overall, decent or a good return. They got the win last week, only just though. And the Texans, man, just ever since I've really started knuckling down into watching NFL, save for last season, Texans are just this plucky team that will punch you in the mouth like at any given notice. And that is their best win against the Cincinnati Bengals last weekend in at least 2 seasons. That was an awesome victory. And they are now...
Not to forget that they beat Jacksonville as well. That's a massive win a few weeks ago.
Absolutely. I think they are now the favourites to take out their division, House. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I love what they're doing. They've just been that surprise team, and they look like they could be heading for a playoff spot.
Yeah. And what about CJ Stroud, mate? There is no doubt that he's going to get the offensive rookie player of the season. Where would you put him in the fair dinkum MVP conversation right now?
I knew you were going to bring this up, and look, I think he's absolutely awesome, but I don't think they've won enough games to put him in that spot yet. For me, it's Tua Tagovailoa, it's Patrick Mahomes, and it's Lamar Jackson. That's what it seems to be, that 3-horse race. You'd probably put Stroud maybe about 7th or 8th. I'd probably say 8th because I do think someone like Tyreek Hill really could be above him.
Yeah, fair game, fair call. All right then. So I'm going to go the Texans. I think the Cardinals will give them just a little bit of curry, but I am going to go the Texans to win this one. So let's go into the next contest. Panthers versus the Cowboys at Carolina. And it is the 16th time these two franchises would have met. And it is 10-5 in favor of the Dallas Cowboys. This is the first trip to Carolina for Dallas since 2018, but they have not won at the venue since 2012. House, what are the odds looking like for this one?
So the Cowboys short price favourites here at $1.14 at Carolina, and the Panthers are paying $5.75 for this one. Seems to be a bit of a curse for the Cowboys this season that they can't reach 50 points. They've scored 40 plus 4 times this season, which is incredible. And this is one of those games that they easily could get to that 40. Their defense is great. Their offense is improving. I think Dallas win and win well here. The Panthers had a horrible start to the season. They had that one lucky win in the middle, and their record could be 2 wins by the end of the season, or even 1. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win by, I think I've got 17. Yeah, 17. Big scoreline.
Cowboys 14 plus, mate. Cowboys 14 plus. That's it. I'll just go into still a couple of comments now. And thank you, everyone that's starting to trickle in. Cowboys over Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Mark your words. Oh, man, that would be a story. That would be a story. Dan Moreno, you can't say the Cowboys beat the Eagles in the playoffs. After the other week, I think they would be very capable if they do meet each other.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys seem to be a level above the Eagles personally. I know they didn't win that game a few weeks ago, but I think their defense is much better than the Eagles, and I think the Eagles have been lucky to win some games this year.
All righty, let's go into the next one. And the Commanders versus the New York Giants from FedEx Field. What are the odds for this one, mate?
The odds for this game read the Giants paying $4.75 and the Washington Commanders at $1.19. I'll just touch on the handicap. Not too many people backing the Giants there at the handicap, but they are plus 9.5. Now, look, one of my best bets for the week, I know they've been really, really poor, but I think the Giants can cover this line. I don't think they can win the game, but I like this plus 9.5. I've got Washington Commanders to win by 7. They are not as good as we thought they were. They should be able to sneeze out this victory, but I'm not confident. The Giants are going to throw something in this game, but I think Washington just sneak it by 7.
I'm pretty much right there with you. These two franchises met a month ago or thereabouts in an ugly game, 14-7 in favor of the New York Giants. I believe Daniel Jones was playing in that game. He's now suffered an ACL injury, unfortunately. That just makes the Giants' world a hell of a lot darker, especially after they got flogged by the Dallas Cowboys last weekend. And the Commanders going down valiantly against the Seattle Seahawks in an absolute thriller. Thank freaking goodness for that. Entertain us. But yeah, you say that they're not who we thought they were. I sort of disagree with that. Again, they're like the Houston Texans for me, House. Like the Commanders, they're just this plucky team that are just trying to find consistency, and they can't seem to do it at this stage of the game. They won't. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year. I think they should already start to look towards next season. But yeah, you can't take them lightly. But they are the team. They did lose to the Giants only a month ago, and this is a rivalry game. They're very susceptible to going down to the Giants again, but I don't think they will. I'm with you. I think the Commanders just eke it just eke it out against the New York Giants. I'm just feeling it. So we're both going the Commanders in that. And let's move on to the next one. So we've got from Santa Clara, the San Francisco 49ers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. House, what are the odds for this game, please, bro?
So big price here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're $5.80. You know, they've been really, really poor. And then the 49ers are $1.14. You know, they've got their whole squad back. They seem to be Super Bowl favorites again after those couple losses. Really click back into gear. They're at home for this game as well, so should be a big crowd. I think the 49ers were really, really good against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think that the 49ers should be way too good for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There is part of me that thinks this game could be close because Tampa has, you know, troubled teams this season. However, I don't see them getting away with a lucky victory. I see the 49ers by 15 here.
They met last year in San Francisco, and it was a game where San Francisco absolutely flogged the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You might remember it. It was about 38-3, I think the scoreline was, something to that effect. And Tampa Bay haven't won at the venue since 2016. To everyone, or to anyone, in my opinion, that started to write off the 49ers a week or two ago, I say more fool you. In my opinion, I thought they were always going to come back. It was it was getting pretty shaky there, but it was 2 road losses. So yeah, I think they are back, even though the Jaguars were ultra poor last weekend. I do think the 49ers are back, and they're just going to start creasing out or iron some more creases out in the form of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend. I'm just going to go into the chat just quickly, and we've got a comment from Seventh Denim. Commanders are an oddball, but Giants have established themselves as losers. But that line 9.5 is pretty steep for an average Commander team. Giants cover, I hope. They have no quarterback. I think that's what you were pretty much alluding to, House.
Yeah, I think that 9.5 for the Giants is massive. You know, coming off some big losses, I think that even though they haven't got a proper QB, I think they should be able to cover that line and, you know, restore a little bit of pride within the Giants playing group.
Wobble and jaw. Hey, rugby league history, mate. Thank you. And Dan Marino, matchup is too fierce. Commanders win at the quarterback spot. Yep, no, alrighty. We've got some traction with the Commanders and Giants. Now, let's go. This is all systems go for both of these sides. This is must-win territory right here now. Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets. Holy, this will be the 127th edition, and it's Buffalo who have 10 wins better, 68-58. The Jets, they have not won in Buffalo since 2019, mate. What are the odds for this one?
So the Jets, who have been okay this season, they're paying $3.70, and the Bills, who seem to be just up and down, are paying $1.28 for this one. Just having a look at the line for you now. The line is 6.5. So if you think the Bills can win by a touchdown, which their games seem to be very, very close, then maybe the Jets might be good at the line there. I didn't get to watch the Bills loss against the Broncos. I obviously know it happened. I was actually driving past, and there's a club screen, and I saw 24-22, and I realized that I thought, that's Bills, is it? But I realized the order, and I went, holy shit. So it was a bit shocking to learn that while driving. But look, the Bills are a team that seem to bounce back. They don't seem to be a great team this year. I think they can get past the Jets. I've got a bigger margin here than I want to have. I want to have this game a bit closer, but I'll stick with what I wrote down. I'm going to go the Buffalo Bills to win by 11 points.
I think this is a flip of the coin game. Forget the way these two sides played in round number 1, the way the Jets won that game. They got the defense to trouble Josh Allen at the moment, bro. Josh Allen not playing to his lofty best, intercept king at the moment, and the offense just are not able to catch the pill at the moment. And if there is a team that can put in a better defensive effort than Denver, it's going to be at least the New York Jets. Jets, one of the top 10 defenses in the NFL, arguably top 5. They can get after Josh Allen, bro. I think this is super close, man. I am going to say the Bills win, and I'm going to keep it in the 1-13 bracket. I just think even though they may not I, I I think they'll have too many points. I think they'll have too many points in them, but they're not going to get a hell of a lot. I think this will be super close. I think we're looking at like a 17-14 sort of a scoreline here. But yeah, I think this is no gimme game for the Bills, bro. Even and just your opinion, man, because and I'll start first here, House, man. Zach Wilson, this poor bugger. He has for a young man. I think he's done okay. I think he's done okay, and with the Hail Mary attempt at the end of last week's game, and in
Yeah.
certain patches in other different games, he's got an arm on him, bro. But it's just like he's been thrown onto the racetrack at the highest gear, and he's still trying to adjust at the moment. So it's a hell of a situation to be in, but I'm glad that they're still persisting with Zach Wilson. Are you happy they're still persisting with Zach, or would you give it
No,
to
I
somebody
think I
else?
think I think Zach deserves this chance he's getting at the moment. I think he's been pretty good. Look, there has been some bad moments, for the most part, being good. They've got a good record as well, 4-5 to start the seasons. Always a great record, especially for the Jets, who have been really, really poor in recent years. But yeah, their defense has been good, and Zach's been really nice replacement because obviously they were expecting to have Aaron Rodgers this season. So he stepped up and given the team a winning record nicely.
We're both going Buffalo. Let's move into the next game. And oh my God, it's an NFC West rivalry game. These two franchises met earlier this season, of round one, I believe it was actually. And the Rams punched these boys in the face. The Rams versus my Seattle Seahawks. House, what are the odds for this one?
So this is a very close game. I'm wondering if someone is out for this one because the Seahawks read $1.85, whereas the Los Angeles Rams read $1.96. The line is literally 0.5. So it's basically pick who you want to win for this one. I'm just wondering whether anyone's out or whether maybe the Seahawks have a poor record in LA because, they're having a great season. But it'd be interesting to know if you know why there's such a big gap between these teams in the betting.
I don't think anyone's injured for the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams are coming off a bye. They're also coming off a loss to the Green Bay Packers, if memory serves me correct. And the Seattle Seahawks last season, I believe they swept the Rams last year. So therefore, they won at SoFi Stadium last year. But yeah, man, these Rams, bro, always give us Seattle Seahawks curry. Yeah, I'm just starting to get a little bit worried now about the inconsistent way that they're going about things, the Seattle Seahawks. But that's just how they've been as a franchise for 5 or 6 seasons now, man. They just are always giving their fans heart attack stuff. And we definitely got brought down to earth against the Ravens 2 weeks ago and going in a game against the Commanders last weekend. Definitely didn't take them lightly. As I said, man, they're a team that I just feel like they go win-loss, 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 and it just seemed like they were due a win, basically, and they nearly did get the victory. So this is going to be a super tough game. I'm not surprised about the line. I'm not surprised about the market, the odds there. I'm happy that we are favorites, but this is going to be super tough, man. Donald and Cup and I think Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford is still a week away. I think he's still injured, but come on, Seattle Seahawks, bro. Seahawks 14 plus this weekend, House.
I'm going to go the Seahawks as well. I do think this will be very, very close. I'd be taking that Seahawks -0 line as the pick 'em. I reckon the Seahawks will win by 3. I really do think the Rams will put in a better performance. And, if Matthew Stafford is back, that's going to be really, really tough. And maybe that is why the odds are starting to sway that way now that you mention it. But, yeah, I'm going to go the Seahawks by 3. I think their start to the year was great, and they should be able to squeeze out a win here.
Yes, and then just as well, it is almost getting, because we've got a seriously difficult draw coming up over the next couple of weeks. I believe in the next 2 weeks after this game, and this is difficult. It's San Francisco 49ers next week in the big rivalry game. And then I think it's Philadelphia Eagles at home. We've got a huge 2 weeks coming up, Seattle, and that's only just scratching the surface as well. So this is must win. There are only 2 more games to get through. We're both going for the Seattle Seahawks. This is the Sunday night football game emanating from Mile High Stadium, the Denver Broncos versus the Minnesota Vikings. This is the 16th match between these two franchises. They last met in 2019. The overall head-to-head record is 8-7, and this is the first trip to Denver since 2015 for Minnesota Vikings. However, the Vikings, they have not won at Mile High Stadium since 1999. So it's been a really long time. They've last got a victory. Yeah, absolutely, bro. What are the odds for this one?
So obviously based off that as well, the Vikings go into this one as underdogs at $2.08. They were $2.20 when I had a look pre-game, but obviously that win to the Broncos has made them sway a little bit down in price. The Denver Broncos are $1.75, and not too bad of a line here if you do like the Broncos, because they are 2.5, which if you think they're going to win by a field goal, which most teams probably should in these type of game, then that is a nice price. But the Vikings, to lose Kirk Cousins and go on this run that they've been on in recent weeks has been incredible. What's his name? Josh Dobbs has been incredible at the quarterback position as well. Addison's been great. They've had strike weapons and they've been winning games. But Denver, they've beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. They've now beaten the Buffalo Bills. Even though the Bills, aren't on that level to the Chiefs, they're still a good team. So the Vikings can't take Denver lightly here. Oh, man, I'm going to go the Minnesota Vikings. I'm very scared to do it. I'm going to go the Minnesota Vikings. I've put by 10, but I think this game will be a lot closer than I think now. So I'm swaying towards maybe Minnesota by 6. But yeah, I think the Vikings just sneak this out. But do not be surprised if the Denver Broncos, who are favorites, which sounds crazy to say, end up winning this one, because Russell and the Broncos are playing a lot better than what they were to start the year.
House, just tell me again, what are the odds for this game, please, mate?
Minnesota Vikings are $2.08. If you think they can win by 14 plus, they are $7.
Oh, $2.08, man. If you told me Denver were $2.08, I would be so close to taking it, mate. It's just that I'm thinking about, when's this run going to come to an end for the Vikings, man? At a place that they haven't won at since 1999. Oh, man, if the Denver Broncos were $2.08, House, I would take it. And I'm still umming and ahhing. And it's crazy that 2 weeks ago, even 48 hours ago, people were saying this game should be flexed out. People were saying that, yep, my Sunday night's going to finish way early because this game's going to be absolute horse. But no, man, this all of a sudden becomes a really interesting contest, man. This Denver Broncos defense, bro, I think they will keep it in the 1-13 bracket. I think this will be a thriller. I'm with you. Maybe my tip might change, and I'll let people know if I do. But I'm going to go the Vikings at the moment, mate. I'm going to go the Vikings, and it's $2.08 about a team that's got all the momentum, but not all the momentum, but they've got some good wins. And I think it's 5 wins in a row, which is the most winning streak in the NFL. So Vikings for both of us, mate.
Yep, I'm on the Vikings.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, I really, really appreciate it, because and we've got Bosky in the house. His Ravens, they're going well. Rugby league history is in. We'll bring down the coal to Denver. Yo, dude. But this is the game of the year we're about to preview. This is what this stream's all about, bro. And I'm so glad that Entertain House is here to talk this game with me. This is, you want to talk about all the momentum? Both these sides have got it. This is going to be an absolute sensation. The Chiefs versus the Eagles. Super Bowl rematch to one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. House, what are the odds for this one?
The Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead are $1.71 going into this rematch as favorite, and the Eagles are paying $2.14. And I'll tell you what, a team that is an underdog in the betting always seems to win these rematches when it comes to sports. Whenever it comes to A-League or NRL or AFL, a team that rematches another team, or NBL, even basketball, it seems to be in favor of that team. So the Eagles, as I mentioned earlier, I haven't been too impressed with their defense. Their defense definitely needs some work, but they've had some great, lucky wins as well, but still a great fight, especially I think that win against the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas really gave them a scare there at the start. They had that loss to the New York Jets, just their one loss this season, the first one in franchise history. And then the Chiefs, they've obviously had 2 losses this season, one to the Denver Broncos when Patrick Mahomes was sick. That's why. That's all good. I'm not here to make excuses. And then the first game, which I actually missed most of, the loss to the Detroit Lions in week 1, 21-20. Besides that, most of these teams have been able to retain most of those, scorers or players from the Super Bowl. So, players like obviously Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and then Isaiah Pacheco was massive in the Super Bowl. He's been great for the Chiefs as well. The other one, Mecole Hardman, recently came back to the Chiefs as well. Mahomes playing like an MVP. This is going to be really, really tough to pick, and I don't take the Eagles lightly. They're going to be wanting revenge here, but I think the Chiefs are going to get it done. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win, coming off a bye. Well, they're both coming off a bye, I guess, but I'm going to go Kansas City at home to win by 4. I do think this will be close. I think our start against Miami was great. We started to leak it towards the end. Need to start better in this game, but the Chiefs will win by 4.
Thank you very much, House. And look, that doesn't surprise me that you tip the Chiefs. They are your team, bro. And I'm so excited to see your reaction to the game on Tuesday morning, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Let me waffle on, mate, because I've done some deep dive, bro. So let me waffle on and wobble me jaw for a couple of minutes here. So this will be just the 11th meeting between the two franchises. Kansas City have the head-to-head record at 6-4. Kansas City have won 4 in a row versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the first trip to Kansas City for the Philadelphia Eagles since 2017, but they have not won at the venue since 2005.
Wow.
Here's another thing. Whilst that stat is there, that fact is there, this is the 6th visit to the Chiefs' kingdom for Philadelphia in their entire history, right? They have 3 wins at the venue. So let me try and simplify it. The 11th meeting between these two franchises, it's 6-4 in favor of the Chiefs. But 3 of those 4 wins for Philadelphia over the Chiefs have come at the Chiefs' kingdom. So they have a better record versus the Chiefs in Kansas City than what they do when they host, rarely, Kansas City in Philadelphia. So that gives me a tickle. I love shit like that, man. I love stadium history like that. Now, so far as on-field stats go, rushing touchdowns, it's 12-4 in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that probably doesn't surprise you because the brotherly shove is the most feared offensive play in all of NFL at the moment. It's absolutely unstoppable. As far as receiving touchdowns, it's Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs who have the slight edge at 17-15. So aerially, the Chiefs are better when they're trying to score touchdowns from 40 meters out than, say, just rushing it, for example. And total touchdowns, because the Eagles are so dominant in the rushing touchdowns, it's 28-21 overall for total touchdowns in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, House. Stick with me. Defensively, right? These two teams are the best defensive rushing touchdowns at teams to defend rushing touchdowns in the league. They've only leaked 3 touchdowns each when it comes to a rushing offensive play. So this brotherly shove versus the Philadelphia Eagles is coming up against equal best rushing defense in the NFL in the Kansas City Chiefs. So there's something that you can look out for this Tuesday morning. The Chiefs have the equal best rushing defense in the NFL, coming up against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a pretty big stat to give you a little bit of hope there. As so far as passing yards, the Patrick Mahomes is about a yard shorter than Jalen Hurts. But look, man, basically my point is that when it comes to aerial tactics, it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs that are better, and defensively, as you alluded to before, mate, the Philadelphia Eagles defensively, when it comes to trying to defend aerial tactics like they tried to defend against the Dallas Cowboys, for example, they do leak their points, mate. They do leak their points, and the stats are here to prove it, bro. So what happens? They're both coming off the bye. It's at Kansas City. Is it going to be the aerial attack of the Chiefs, or is it going to be the rushing offense of the Philadelphia Eagles that will win this game? I want to tip the Philadelphia Eagles. I do. I think they've been just a level. I think they've been a cog better than the Chiefs in 2023. But the big boys come to play, man. And there are no bigger boys in the NFL than Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce at the moment, man. And
Mate,
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I was just about to say she's
Swift
over there.
The biggest name on the planet as well, giving some of her energy from up in the stands, man. She's undefeated at the Chiefs' Kingdom, bro. I'm going to give it to the Super Bowl champions. I'm going to give it to the Super Bowl champions. Unfortunately, the Eagles will not fly high this Tuesday. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs. I think it should be an absolute belter. It should be game of the season. It's definitely the most anticipated match of the year. I'm going to go the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game by at least 3 points, man. It won't be no more than 10, let me tell you. I think we're in for a classic. So just your last thoughts on the Chiefs versus Eagles, mate.
Just excited, mate. Looking forward to Thursday, Super Bowl rematch at home as well. Two great quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, offensive weapons. It's going to be hard to stop them, but let's do it.
Let's do it, bro. Now, we've got just a couple. No, got it, sadly. Chiefs just. Okay, another Chiefs tip there. We've got Jason Reeder. Just great stream. Thank you very much. We've got a handful of people in rugby league history just blaring on Kansas. So it seems like you're red and whites, mate. A lot of people might actually be getting behind them this weekend. So Tuesday morning, set your alarms. Put it in your diaries. It's game of the year. Chiefs versus the Eagles. Thank you so much for your time, mate. I've really enjoyed wobbling my jaw about NFL with you, and it's been a bit too long since I've actually done it on my own channel as well. But, mate, anything coming up in your world, and any last thoughts on this weekend?
Looking forward to the weekend ahead. Obviously, I can hope my tipping goes better. We've got fairly similar tips besides the Green Bay Packers one there. I've gone a bit of a risk in that one, but obviously, as for the channel, NFL tips every week. Speaking a little about the NRL draw in the coming weeks, different teams, games I'm looking forward to. In the background, trying to organise Magic Round as well, which will be a massive event for the NRL. So, make sure you subscribe.
Absolutely. And if you want to go to Entertain House's channel, if you've never seen this young man before, I recommend that you do go check out his channel. Just click the name. It's a hyperlink. Click the name in the title of the video. It'll take you straight to his YouTube channel. So thank you very much for your time. House, thank you very much for your time, the listener and or viewer. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Adios. Come on, Seattle.